Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another roundtable. I'm joined by Jason, Logie, and Theo. How are you guys tonight?
Doing well. Can't complain. I
Fantastic.
got my Panthers going to the Super Bowl.
Let's go Panthers all the way, right?
Not really though. Go Jags. Go Armada.
Okay, so let's start out with this roundtable talking about the recent player signings with the Carolina Redhawks.
Sure. Let's see. We've had a decent amount of departures, players-wise. Probably the biggest loss of a guy leaving is going to be Nacho Novo. There's a few other key guys that haven't re-signed yet. Probably the two biggest ones being Capono Lowe, who was the original Railhawk. He hasn't signed yet. And also our captain from last year, Connor Tobin. He has not re-signed yet. There's rumors that they're trying to figure something out, but Connor Tobin might be taking a look at MLS potentially, but we'll see what ends up panning out for that. But in terms of who we've actually acquired so far, I would say the guy that I'm number one most excited about is Brian Shriver coming up from Tampa Bay. He was a Redhawk back in 2012 and 2013. 2013, he actually won the Golden Boot. And again, that's the last time he was with the Redhawks. So he definitely had some great production in his years out here in Carolina. I know he's just Redhawks had a article come out today about how excited he is to return to the orange of Carolina. It's pretty cool. Outside of that, I would say the biggest note of who we've been acquiring are some really stout defenders. Three in particular. We have one guy from, I'll make sure I get the names right, one guy from Ottawa, Drew Becky, who, again, Ottawa had the number one defense from last season, so he's definitely going to be a welcome addition considering that Railhawks had one of the worst inconsistent defenses in all of NASL throughout the entire season last year. And then the other two pickups to mention are two players from Atlanta, being Paul Black and Simon Mensing. Mensing is actually, in his former years prior to NASL, was a scoring threat as a defender. I think he had like 7 goals over his years out in Scotland, I believe, being a defender, but still racking up some goals, which is kind of cool. But Atlanta also had one of the top defenses in all of the NASL. In fact, that we got 2 guys in their back line. I think their half of the back line all year last year only allowed, I think, like 3 or 4 goals on the season. So definitely a welcome addition. I feel like our goalie, Akira Fitzgerald, which he was our man last year. Unfortunately, we did allow a lot of goals, but Akira, I mean, he's a heck of a talent, and I know he has to be really excited to see a rebuilt defensive line in front of him. The only other player that I'm really going to bring up a lot of hype on is James, I hope I get this pronounced right, from Fort Lauderdale, James Marcelin. He was one of the NASL Best 11 from last year at midfield. So we don't have any other Best 11 guys from last year at all on the Redhawks. So to actually have acquired one is going to be pretty exciting. So we already have a pretty good midfield returning with T. Shipolani and Naz Abdeldawi, Austin Deleuze, and a couple others. But to add an NASL top 11 is going to be a great addition to help hopefully have better possession. So better defense, better possession. We have Brian Shriver returning to the Redhawks orange. So that's it out here in Carolina.
One thing about Carolina signing James Marcelin is he's kind of comparable to. It's kind of a big comparison, but if you look at the NASL and compare it to the BPL, he's kind of like the Yaya Toure. He's a big, strong midfielder who, like, strong on the ball. Watching Armada play against him, we couldn't take him off the ball. No one could. He's just big, box to box. He can finish. So that's definitely a really top signing. And keep your eyes out on Marcelin at Carolina because he's a really solid player. Like I said, he's box to box midfielder. He's big, strong. He can hold on to the ball well, connects passes. And he's a game changer, really. A lot of the games that Fort Lauderdale played when Marcelin was in the lineup, they had really good success. Just his presence, it's just like the Yaya Toure situation in Man City. So definitely keep your eyes on him. And that's all I have to say about Marcelin. He's just a good talent and a great Haitian national team player.
Yeah, considering that Fort Lauderdale was third best last season in possession, I'm sure he was a big part of it too. And the Redhawks being one of the worst in average possession, it'll be a good welcome addition.
So going with your Armada, Logie, can you talk about the recent additions to the squad?
Well, the beginning of the tenure of Tony Miola, yeah, we had a little get together at a restaurant here in Jacksonville, but just to welcome him to the city and stuff like that. And so we threw this little thing together. And one thing that he was key on was to find a number 9 and to sign, just bolster the defense, because we were one of the worst defenses last year, and it was absolutely tragic what happened every single game, giving up so many goals every game. Anyways, so I mean, a lot of the Argentines kind of exited, got away from after Hoyos was sacked and the rest of his technical staff was sacked. So at the end of, like, right after the strikers game, none of the Argentine players show up for the after season party, and it's just like, oh well, they're gone now. So every Argentine player that we had left, except for the best of the bunch, which is Lucas Scaglia. He was the rock in the center of the field. He just, nothing got by. He was on the ball, on an attacker's heels all game, every game, and he was really inspiring player. When we didn't look that inspiring last year, he was one of the most inspiring players on the field that was playing with his heart on his sleeve. But so yeah, all the Argentine players kind of left after the coaching changes, and then we move into the roster additions, and the big one. Sorry about this one, Theo, but you got Richie Ryan, the Irishman, amazing midfielder, NASL best 11 last year, which is something we need. We need experience in the center of the park, because that's where we just got dominated, just on counterattacks and free-flowing attacks last year. And so Richie Ryan definitely is definitely going to be a starter. He's an amazing player, but he's going to slot in really well for what we lost from the exits, and that's the one guy I'm most excited about. And so moving on to the defense, though, is where we had our main struggles. Gave up too many goals and put ourselves out of matches before, just way too many times, couldn't catch up. And so we recently signed Brian Burke, who played for Louisville City SC. He's got an interesting story. He started out with Kitsap Pumas in Washington, which is a USL PDL squad that you may have seen them in the U.S. Open Cup. They had a pretty good run last year. But so he started down in the developmental league in 2011, and he was the most valuable player in that league. And then he made his way up the ranks to Orange County, and then Orlando City, and then he finally was in Louisville, and he was even being eyed by MLS clubs. You have Sporting KC and San Jose Earthquakes he went on trial with, but he's a fullback, and he led the USL in assists last year as a fullback. He loves running up the channels. He can get back. He's smart. He's a smart player. Watched a few of his games last year. But he loves attacking, getting forward, and he brings a different aspect to the game that we didn't see last year, as our fullbacks kind of like stayed back last year. We didn't really take that many chances in the attacking third. We just kind of like launched the ball up to our forwards many times and just never ended anything amazing. But no, Brian Burke's definitely a game-changing player that we look forward to seeing play this year. And like I said, he was the MVP defender of the USL last year. So another solid pickup. We also have picked up more defenders. Of course, we retained Matt Banner and Mishak Jerome, who had trials with MLS clubs over the offseason. Those didn't work out. So we picked up Beto Navarro, a defender from Atlanta Silverbacks, Tyler Ruthven from Arizona United SC, and he played with New York Red Bulls a few years ago. And yeah, so the defense is really bolstered now. We have many more options. We were really thin last year, and definitely Miola said that was his number one priority, was fixing the defense, and he has. And thankfully, it looks solid. Haven't seen them play yet together. All the players just got into the camp today, so no, it's gonna be interesting. It's really strong backline on paper. So we'll see how they play out during the season. But let's keep going. With the signings, we have Alex Dixon, who won the USL championship with Rochester Rhinos, a United States player, played with Houston Dynamo back in the day. Just a winger, just because we were kind of thin. We had a ton of midfielders, but we were kind of thin at the forward position. Definitely last year when we lost Keita, we didn't have that many options going forward, and we had to shift a lot of players around, and it was just an awkward situation. So Alex Dixon brings depth to the team. Danny Barrow, who is one of my favorites, he's a really, really cool guy. Was talking to him earlier today, but he's a striker from West Bromwich Albion. He played with the youth academy, and he actually, weird about him, he has the potential, but he had trial with us last year, but he didn't successfully sign for the club after the trial, and then he went to Sporting KC, and he didn't have any success there, so he just went back to England. But Miola definitely looked at him as a target that he wants, and he got him this time. But he's a pretty good player. There's not much. I mean, he's 20-year-old striker. There's not much much footage or anything of him. But I mean, it's a solid pickup. We're strengthening the striker position where we were really poor last year, and we got two more midfielders, Junior Sandoval and Pekka Lagerblom. Pekka played for Werder Bremen, Nuremberg, and Köln in the Bundesliga, where he won the DFB Pokal, which is pretty cool. And Sandoval is an attacking midfielder who had a stint with Atlanta Silverbacks, and he came to us from Jaguares de Cordoba from the Colombian Premier A. So we're making changes. It's a total roster revamp of what it was last year. We got rid of the players that weren't cracking into the starting 11, and it was necessary changes that we needed to make. And we're currently still looking at signing one, maybe two more players. Like I said, training camp, everyone was present today for the first time. So, we'll see. That true number 9 that we're looking for hasn't been signed yet, but there's a few rumors going around of who it may be, which I'm not going to say because that would be spoiling. But we're making changes, and we're making the necessary changes that we needed to make after a poor season last year. And to assess Tony Miola's first couple of months as the manager, he's done a fairly decent job strengthening the back line superbly, and bringing in some guys that we really needed in the squad. And that is it for who we brought in and saw exit. So, yeah, I mean, it's just going to be exciting, really. Just can't wait to see all these guys play next week at Philadelphia. So,
Theo, what are your thoughts with the Fury roster so far? New manager and new expectations for the season.
Bunch of new players. Paul Dalglish got handed 3 or 4 transfer requests in the offseason. Those players have been transferred out, mostly to Indy 11, except for Richie Ryan, who went to Jacksonville, as previously mentioned. So he's had to rebuild the squad, essentially. There's some core guys that are still there from last year. Romel Paiser, Rafael Alves, and Julian de Guzman are like key guys that are still in the squad. Mason Trafford, although is not being mentioned a lot by the manager this offseason, he should be a major part. He was an Iron Man, I believe, last season. So when you start out with a core of 4 players, you've got a lot of work to do. And there have been a lot of signings. They've added a lot of speed to the team through strikers like Dennis Chin and some wing backs. Obasi apparently is a left wing back who will be able to bomb up and down that left side. The new manager Dalglish is really stressing an attacking mentality. He wants everybody to attack in the team, a high pressing philosophy, and go to get that ball when you lose possession. So it's going to be taxing on the players. It's a high energy that takes its toll on athletes, but we'll see how that works out. There's one standout signing that has everyone buzzing. A lot of people in different leagues were actually buzzing about this because he's a player who, in his youth, as a teenager, was touted as one of the 10 best players in the world. He was on a list with Gareth Bale, for example, as these youth players that were going to be breaking out and taking over the world. It didn't work out for him. He was at Real Madrid. He then went to Liverpool. Then he bounced around a little bit in the lower leagues in England. His name is Gerardo Bruna, and he is Spanish-Argentine, depending on... I think he started out as a Spanish under-17 international, and now I think he's officially an Argentine international, but like not in the setup at all, because his potential has not been fulfilled yet. Everybody's hoping that the change of scenery coming to Canada, he'll be working under Dalglish, who has Liverpool ties. I think that's a little bit where that connection came through. Ottawa also has Bruce Grobbelaar as a goalkeeper coach, who's a legend at Anfield. So it's not surprising that they would have an ex-Liverpool prospect coming into the side. But we'll have to see. He's only coming in July 1st, so the other signings will have to pick up the slack while they wait for this apparently exciting player to come in. So we've got Paulo Jr. who re-signed, Mauro Eustáquio re-signed, some good players from last year's, and then a name that will resonate with all of you. I think you all know this guy. His name is Johnny Steele.
Ex-Railhawk.
Ex-Railhawk, ex-everything. If you look at his rap sheet on Wikipedia, he's been everywhere. He should have a Johnny Cash song. Like he was with New York Red Bulls. He played in Minnesota last summer for a brief stint. I think he started 4 matches, if I'm not mistaken. And he has played under Dalglish before. And so that there's the risk when you bring a player like that who's been a journeyman who doesn't last more than a season anywhere, really, you question a little bit the character of the guy. Is it a guy that's not gelling with any teammates? But then, on the flip side of that, you've got Paul Dalglish, who has coached him before, who went out and signed him. So, clearly, he believes that he can come in and be a catalyst in this lineup. I've heard Paul Dalglish today in a video describing his midfielders, talking about Steele and saying that he would be a leader. He would come in and he would take charge of that dressing room. So I guess he's a candidate for the captaincy. I'd be surprised if Julian de Guzman wasn't the captain, but I could also make an argument against Julian de Guzman, considering that Canada has a bunch of World Cup qualifying matches lined up this season or this year. So it's been an interesting off season. It hasn't been dull. There's been a lot of chatter on Twitter. People were very upset, losing Colin Falvey, losing Sinisa Ubi-Paripovic, losing Richie Ryan. And Tommy Heineman went to Tampa. These are players who are fan favorites. They were big in the community. They did a lot of work in the community. Nicky Patterson is another one that went to Indy. So yeah, so a lot of change, and it'll be interesting. It's almost as a supporters an expansion team. Like there's so many changes that it's almost like starting from scratch. We can't, I don't think, look at last season as something that will be easily repeatable because of all the changes.
Talking about Falvey, Dio and I, we met him at the final, right? It was great. He was a nice guy. Like, he was down to earth and everything like that. So I think he's truly going to be missed in Ottawa. Yeah,
one of his quotes that will always stick with me. The guy was a character. He said, somebody asked him an obvious question, and he said, "Does a fish have a waterproof head?" And it was just the laughter was everywhere when he said that. It was pretty cool. So yeah, he was a character. He like I said, fan favorite, will be missed immensely. Indy 11 have got some quality there from Ottawa's lineup last year.
So Theo, what player are you excited to see in 2016?
I'm excited about this Bruno kid because it's just when you're scouted as a youth like that, and the scouting system in Spain is phenomenal. I mean, if you look at the youth that have come through that system in the past decade, it's Iniesta and all those guys, Pedro, and they have. I'm actually reading a book on Spain right now, so I can wrap my head around this a little bit. Spain, their youth system set up, without going too long into it, every year they get together, and at every age group, they get the 55 top names, and they put them in that age setup. So there's the under 15s, the under 17s, the under 19s. You know how it goes, the little system there. Well, Bruno was in the under 17s at some point. So at some point, Spain's system said, this is one of the top 55 guys in his age group. I'm really curious as to find out like what happened and if he can put it back together. It's a little bit not the same, but it's a little bit like Freddie Adu in Tampa, right? There's all this potential. You know it's there. The technique, the talent is there. You have to be able to put it together, and so that's what I'll be looking for. I think that's a really exciting transfer or signing. But like I said, July 1st is when he arrives in Ottawa.
That's going to be a very exciting day for sure. Hopefully the Fury supporters like mob him at the airport, try to get that autograph. Theo's going to be there with his camera.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. That's not the Ottawa. The mentality of Ottawa is not to meet people at the airport. I'll tell you that. It's not a Drogba situation.
Yeah, like Jovinko mobbing him at the airport. No, right?
No,
you're
that's
gonna
not going to happen.
You're gonna see Theo in the news reports. He's gonna be waving his flag, singing songs. Bruno, 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 Bruno.
We'll see about that.
So talking about the Cosmos offseason, we all know that Raul Marco Senna departed, and we just didn't know who were gonna replace these two legends, icons for the Cosmos. So we signed Juan Arango as of this morning. I think that was the earliest I ever saw a player signing announced. 9 a.m. Yes, 9 a.m. sharp. So excited, and we just got it away earlier in the morning, so you can just go through your day. So announced Juan Arango, New York Cosmo. So excited about that is that he brings a lot of experience to the team, experience that we lost when Marco Senna retired. So he's going to be a very important player in the midfield, brings tons of experience. We also signed Haro Arrieta. He played in MLS, Columbus Crew, DC United. So a great attacking player that's going to take the spot of Raul. Also, we sold Walter Restrepo to the Philadelphia Union. And what's great about this transfer is that we got a transfer fee and we got a player on loan for the season. So that player is Michael Lahoud. I didn't see a lot of games with him, so I don't know what to expect out of him in 2016. But he is going to be an important player. I know Giovanni Sarrese speaks very highly of him, and I feel like the Cosmos are going in a different path for this upcoming season. It's not go out there and spend the big bucks and buy the big name, but we're sort of buying experience, going with those younger players. We have two U.S. Youth National Team players. One is Alexis Vilala. He's a defender. And we recently signed Eric Calvia, who is another player that we should watch out for, a great prospect for the New York Cosmos. So it's a very interesting path that the Cosmos are going down because, again, we're not going to go out there and spend the big money like some fans would like to get the fans to the stadium, but I don't feel that's the way we're going to do business in the future.
John, do you think, is this something that the management has said out loud, or is it speculation? Because I wonder if there's, because I agree with you that seems to be a change of philosophy for the team, but that have they said that?
No, they haven't said it, but my feeling is that they brought in Raul, and this is just my opinion here. My feeling is that they brought him in thinking that they were going to get a lot of people at the stadium. They were going to just be a huge name in the New York market with just one player. And it didn't work that way. They won a championship. They were a great team, but I don't think Raul was how they planned. And again, I liked him as a player. He fought 110%. For me, I think it was worth every penny that we paid him. But maybe for the Cosmos, it wasn't what they thought it was gonna be. So yeah, maybe they are changing philosophy, and it's gonna work because we have a great manager with Giovanni Ceresi. The technical staff, they know what they're doing, have so much experience, and again, we have the money to go out there and buy that experience. And I know some people might be saying, well, Juan, he's an older player, but he brings a lot to the team that we didn't have a couple weeks ago.
That's
John,
cool.
can you please repeat the first two players, first two signings that you said earlier?
It was Juan Arango. He is a midfielder that we bought from a Mexican club, and also Haro Arieta. We signed him from an
You
MLS
know,
club.
you know what speaks about these two players? It's dangerous. That's one word. Under you remember watching Arietta when he played up top with Federico Higuain underneath him at Columbus Crew. They clicked. They clicked pretty well when at Columbus for the year. And with a player like Arango, one, he scores goals.
Yeah, he's great on
He's
free
he's
kicks.
he's
Yeah.
an attacking midfielder, and he scores so many goals just for the position. Like he, 2004, he signed for Mallorca. He scored 45 goals for them in 154, and that's for that. I'm sorry, for in 183, and for an attacking midfielder to get that much production in the center of the park is absolutely phenomenal. Plus, his on-the-ball skill, he can feed in Jairo Arrieta very well. And just like he transferred to Mönchengladbach in Germany in 2009, and he scored how many goals was it? It was 25 goals for them in 154. So he's very threatening player. Um, he's going to cause problems this year, and with a player like Arietta already playing up top for the New York Cosmos, and the pieces being filled that were lost from last year, they're going to be another dangerous side again this year, and that's always the case for the Cosmos. But just when you think about Arango and just all the experience he has and all the skill that he has for club, for country, just where he's played in the world, it's dangerous. And if Jair Arrieta can catch fire at the beginning of the year, he's going to be unstoppable with the support he has around him.
Also, I don't think the signings are going to stop. I don't think the Cosmos are done as of yet. I feel like that they have some holes to fill still in the roster. And also, I don't think the players that we got are going to satisfy the supporters until we add those pieces. Because last season we had a great season, had some great players, and some of those key players left. Leo Fernandez, he left. The Union wanted him back. Restrepo got sold to the Union. So the Union are going to have two great Cosmos players this upcoming season. Also, Raul Senna leaving, so big holes that are currently being filled.
It's the star power that's missing.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if there's any rumors that you could tell us about. Are there any rumblings of a big player coming to New York Cosmos?
I heard Fernando Torres. I don't know how official that is.
That would be huge.
I'll tell you one thing: he can put the ball in the back of the net in the NASL. Anywhere else, I'm not quite sure.
Right.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard any concrete rumor as of yet. Juan has been a rumor, and it finally was official today. So maybe in the next couple of days we will hear some more rumors. But what's great about the media around the world, just for the Cosmos, it feels like that there's so many rumors when it comes up to an official announcement. So we have a question from Blog Fury FC. He says, name a player or players that would be household names league-wide by the end of the 2016 season.
Who wants to take this one first?
I think that
I'll take a stab
Sebastian.
at
Oh,
one. I know. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Theo. Go ahead, and I'll go
no, no,
after you.
no. You go. It's fine.
Okay, I'm sorry. Probably one of the signings that may have flown under the radar just a little bit right now, but I think by the end of the season, everyone's going to know this guy is one of the biggest playmakers in the NASL. Miami FC picked up a Brazilian. I'm going to totally butcher his last name, but I'm going to try my best. Matuzalam?
Methuselam.
Matuzalam?
Methuselam.
Yeah, I nailed it. All right. But yeah, nicknamed the Professor. I mean, he's coming in with a fair number of past accolades, but I feel like that signing kind of went under the radar a little bit. But I'm going to keep my eye on Miami FC just to see what he ends up doing, because I mean, he might be the playmaker of the year at midfield. I would not be surprised if he finished the season as a best 11.
Yeah, I think that. Well, I'll be keeping a close eye on Rayo OKC because I find that everything they've done so far has been really interesting and of quality. So I think that Sebastian Velasquez is going to be a star in NASL. He comes from Real Salt Lake, and he's been successful. I mean, he's got a lot of skill, and on that team, he's got Derek Boateng of Ghana. This is a huge international name who's played in the Premier League and in La Liga. He'll be feeding Velasquez as that from the pivot position in midfield. So I think the Rayo OKC first of all is going to do well, and second of all, I think Sebastian Velasquez is going to be the star of that team. I wouldn't be surprised if he sends a chill up the spine of every NASL defense this season.
There's a. You go ahead. Go ahead. You got it. You take it. You take it.
I'm going to be very bold on this one. I'm going to say that player that's coming from England to join the Fury is going to breakout star in the NASL. Breakout star. The Cosmos are going to be wishing that they signed him.
Okay, that's interesting. Good.
Hey, there's one player that he has a future in the NASL. Of course, it was announced. Billy Forbes.
Yeah.
I would keep my eye on Billy Forbes. He didn't start much last year for San Antonio. He's still a young guy, but dude, when he came on the field though, there's just that spark. He put that spark into San Antonio that they didn't have that much of last year. But no, whatever team Billy Forbes plays for, if he gets consistent starts, he's might be a force in this league. Because he's proven off of the bench that he can come into a game and absolutely change it. No matter what the score is, he just completely changes the game and the focus. When he played for San Antonio, he was always getting fed the ball whenever he came in. He's fast and quick, and he can make a mess of the defenders. And I don't know, Billy Forbes, if he can get some starts in this league, he's my player to watch.
I think he will, Logie. It's no surprise that he went to Rayo OKC because he played under Marcina in San Antonio, and Marcina knows what he has there. So,
did he go to OKC?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, that's who
I
signed
missed
him
that.
today.
All right, that's
Yeah.
my guy then. Yeah, I missed the news. No, but yeah, Billy Forbes, that's my guy to watch for this year.
Yeah, he for sure is going to be really dangerous. We have one more viewer question. Any speculation on broadcasting for the NASL this season? ESPN3 again, more TV, other networks, YouTube, smoke signals. But on this one, I saw a tweet from the Puerto Rico FC president. He was tweeting after the meetings, I think it was the PR meetings in Atlanta, and he said that there is going to be some. Well, he did say, and I'm paraphrasing here, he did say that we are going to see NASL matches on TV in Puerto Rico and throughout the United States. So I don't know when we're going to hear something official, but I'm probably hoping March sometime because that's when we're expected to hear some expansion news. We saw a rumor that the league ball might be made by Under Armour. So all these announcements.
I think that's official, John.
Yeah, but we haven't heard the official announcement yet, right? Yeah, so I think all these are going to come at one big time, and we're going to hear about broadcasting, hear about everything. But I hope that we hear this a bit earlier than we expect, because we just want to get excited about these things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
well,
I just want to come in here. We can't talk about player signings, I think, without talking about Minnesota United.
Mhm.
We don't have a correspondent there, so if there's someone out there who'd like to write for Total NASL or come onto the roundtable, just make yourself known to us. But Minnesota United signed two of the best players from last season. They were in the best 11, and now they're at Minnesota, joining three or four other from the best 11. They've got Stefano Pino, who was the Golden Boot winner from last year, and they went out and got the best player at FC Edmonton, Lance Lang, who's a Jamaican international. To me, this points to Minnesota United ramping up to go to MLS. They're really stocking up on quality players. They're getting as many of the best players in NASL that they can, as they are probably into their last season in NASL and 2017 into MLS. So I
yeah,
think those players are just lights out.
yeah. Well, you always forget about, not always, but you'll forget about Minnesota just because they're over there. It's just, they're always forgotten. But like, if you just look at their team and how many goals that they have scored in that team, like I'll give you stats right here. I'm not the stats guy. That's all Jason. But I'll give you some stats right here. Christian Ramirez, striker. He was the top striker 2 years ago in the NASL. 59 appearances for Minnesota United with 33 goals. Pablo Campos, they kind of rotated starts, but he has 20 and 53. Stefano Pino is coming from Fort Lauderdale with 16 and 29. Also add Lance Lang and who am I forgetting? There's one more. Just Lance Lang, and just already the great team that they have right now. And it's just on paper, it's absolutely ridiculous to see how solid of a squad that they have built. And of course, like they are taking steps towards the MLS, because that's coming really soon, and they need to start making decisions. And there's vamping up for it. But no, I'm scratching my head when I think of all the amazing players that Minnesota has. It's actually kind of scary, to be honest.
Yeah, last season, at least, the biggest difference maker for Minnesota was their performance on the road. I think they may have easily been one of the best road teams. You mentioned in goals, Logan. So Minnesota last year at home, they averaged 1.7 goals a game, but on the road they averaged 1.9. They're one of the few teams that actually average more goals on the road. I mean, that's almost 2 goals a game on the road. They're going to be scary this year.
So that's changed the topic a bit, go towards a rumor that was off of Twitter, and Bill Reese on Twitter, you should give him a follow. He was the guy that found this trademark somehow. I don't know why you're searching this stuff, but Bill Reese, thanks again. He came across and posted on Twitter, so much shares, everything, New York United Football Club, and it was the owner is MPN Silva. So MPN Silva is owned by Ricardo Silva, who is the owner of Miami FC. So for some reason, he thought of this name and it was a good idea to trademark it. So could we see this team come in the New York area in the NASL? I know this is pure speculation, and that's all what we're here for. But
Yeah.
in my opinion, let me start off here. I don't think we should see a team in the New York City area. I'm all for having a pro NASL team in upstate New York, because I know the Rochester Rhinos are there, and I feel if they have better owners than they have now, because I think they changed owners, but if they have a great owner up there, I feel they can be a great team in the NASL. They have a stadium. Maybe they can look into expanding that. So I feel in the New York area, it's so crowded. It's a very crowded marketplace. You have the Cosmos, the Red Bulls, NYCFC. The Cosmos are just making it by. So if we add one more team, I just think that's going to crowd the whole market up, especially in the NASL. I don't know where they would play, where they would be. So I don't know. Like people in Europe, they say, well, there's 6 teams in this city or 8 teams in this city, but I don't think New York is going to be a city like that. So upstate New York, that's where I would hope a NASL team would go if Bill Peterson wants to go into New York. What are your thoughts?
Well, there's also the fact that the U.S. Soccer Federation, and I read this on Twitter, I didn't verify it or anything, but
Okay.
from what this said is that they have a rule that you can only have one owner, or you can only, in the same league, you can only own one team. And I know that rule's been bent to all get out through MLS. They've only now gotten to the point where there's not one guy that owns 3 teams or whatnot.
So that was after traffic, or?
No, it was Houston, LA, AIG, that company that owned.
They own the Galaxy, right?
Yeah, the Galaxy. They had like 3 or 4 teams at one point. Well, at the beginning of MLS, there was like 3 owners for the entire thing. But I think that rule exists now for the USSF, where they wouldn't allow a new team to be in the same league with the 2 owners. Now, it could be with the same owner. It could be that Ricardo Silva went in and got the trademark on behalf of NASL to get the placeholder. And I agree with you, John, that if this is a New York team, it's a New York State team. And Rochester is obviously a leading candidate for that. There's also Buffalo they have a Buffalo FC or something like that, and they could also
PDL, MPSL.
Yeah, they could ramp it up if they wanted to, but allow ourselves to dream a little bit.
Yeah.
A team in another New York team in NASL, a derby against the Cosmos.
That's
would
what
be
I'm
phenomenal.
dreaming about. Yes.
Right?
We
And
don't have a big rival. Like we don't have someone
it.
that we actually hate. You know what I mean?
And
you guys
if you look, yeah, well, yeah, we hate many teams. Was that?
Edmonton, right?
Nah, well, that's kind of wishy-washy. They're really far away.
So it's like a derby that they're trying to stick it, but it's not working.
Yeah, but like New York, I know this is MLS, but last year when New York Red Bull played New York City FC, those games, I saw them on television. Obviously, I didn't make it down for that, but the energy coming through the television set was off the charts.
Even when New York I can't speak. NYCFC went to New York Cosmos.
Yes.
That was full of energy.
I wasn't there for that match.
You missed a heck of a match. I remember watching that game on a couch on a beach somewhere. Jimmy Maurer, absolutely insane in the goal. I was completely just wowed by his performance.
What a game to miss! Like, watch it on TV and like, I should have been there.
Well, did you see how many NYC supporters came? Like, they filled that hole in the corner. Like,
it was the same area where the Fury were. I don't know if it was like 500, 1,000 NYC.
I think it was over. I think it was about 1,000, maybe over. Yeah, it was massive. It was the energy was absolutely insane.
So yeah, forget about all the obstacles for a second. Just dream about it. It would be so cool for the league and for New York City, the biggest market in America. I hope it happens. But again, we're going off a rumor that's off of one little signing or one little copyright that was registered. So we're getting ahead of ourselves.
That would be. I mean, you always. Like, you see Sydney, they've got Sydney FC, Western Sydney Wanderers. Just think about those derbies, all the derbies in Man U, Man City. Ah, man, we're not there yet. But no. I mean, I'm telling you, if it continues to grow in the U.S. like it's growing right now, one day it'll be that way, and it'll be absolutely special.
And hey, imagine a U.S. Open Cup match between Oklahoma City Energy and Rayo OKC. That would be pretty bananas. That would be great. Right? So, no, it's a really positive thing that we're getting to this point where we can get regional rivals and even city rivals. I think that's going to be awesome. I think LAFC and LA Galaxy is going to have quite the rivalry.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one, too.
We've already seen, like, it's a 3-hour drive, I think, or something like that, but Vancouver and Seattle have had excellent derbies. obviously for 30 or 40 years now. But in NASL, that would be really cool. And you guys in Florida are blessed in that sense
Oh yeah.
because you've got 4 teams. 4, 5 now? Fuck,
Oh,
what is it?
we got 4: Miami, Jacksonville, Fort Lauderdale, Tampa, and I mean it's awesome because you can make those drives, and
Exactly.
it's not horrible at all. Like we took about 70 to Tampa Bay, and that was the most amazing trip I've been on.
Hmm.
No, but it's really exciting, and
Yeah.
I do feel bad for Michael up in Indy. Doesn't get to hit that many teams around them, which is unfortunate because I mean really like away games are the best games. Like I tend to prefer away games to home games just because just being that outsider, no one wants you at their stadium, but it's just the
Running
energy
around
of
with
it
your
is
stupid flag around the stadium.
awesome. That was a funny story. That's a funny story for another time.
So talking about that rival in the city, I really would like to see a NASL team go into New York City, but again, the crowded market is that big problem, and I don't think it would work. Upstate New York, a big key for NASL. Hopefully it happens, like what Theo said. We have to dream, right? We have to
It's just it's just weird because who would support it? I mean, when you've got like, I mean, of course the NYC supporters, but they're MLS, and then you have Red Bulls. They've been around forever. Just coming into a market like New York with an NASL team, people might prefer. Oh, I want to be an MLS supporter rather than an NASL supporter, no matter
Well,
if they're in their backyard.
couldn't you put it like, I don't know, in Yonkers or Staten Island or Brooklyn
Yeah,
or Queens?
yeah.
Like, there's New York is huge, and the
Yeah.
population can definitely support it.
Yeah, what's weird about the market is that all 3 teams are in totally different locations. So NYCFC, they're in the Bronx, right? The Red Bulls, they're in New Jersey. So they're not really in New York. So there's only 2 teams in New York, okay? So the Cosmos are playing in Long Island. So Staten Island could be the very key part for NASL, this New York team. So the opportunities are endless of where they could play. But I feel like the more likely one is upstate, but I don't think the NASL would be excited about that. You know what I mean? Like it's not a very attractive market. Maybe because there's no one there. You know, like there's no professional soccer in the NASL there. So very very exciting. So thank you everyone for tuning in. You can follow us on Twitter at Total NASL TV. And what are your thoughts on a new New York team in the NASL? It's pure speculation, but leave it in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on your team's player signings? Hi, James. Whatever Logie's trying to say, James, you watch that. You just look at that right now. And yeah, so thank you everyone for tuning in. Subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you next
Fries
week.
with ketchup. Fries with ketchup.
Woo!